All right, man, let's dive into this setup question. You mentioned the Zoom 9002. That's a topic here, right? You said that back then you used the V-Amp 2? Yep, the little blue one, right?
I used the V-Amp for a long time.
And it's funny because, man, we hear that now we've reached the sound of amplifier simulations, perfect since the pod. In 2000, the century turned, my brother, we turned the century 2001. And now we've also flipped the switch on amplifier simulators. It's perfect. Already, it's been perfect since then. Then the Kemper came, perfect. The Quad Cortex arrived, it's perfect. It's been perfect for many years, right? Guys, but the question is, what were you using? You were already getting great tones, man. Everything was good. You were happy with your sound. What changed over time for you? Oh, okay.
After the V-Amp, I had other pedal boards, right? I went until I ended up with the Zoom. I also had a Zoom pedal board back in the beginning too. I had a 155. Who didn't have a 155, right? The kids from that time, everyone had a 155. And in 2013, I became a partner of Zoom along with Royal Music, and I started using their products.
Do you still use it today?
I still use the Zoom. It's been almost 11 years now. And so after IR, a lot of things became easier in terms of timbre. If there is a pedal board there which has a go, you put a good go there, it will speak beautifully. Although nowadays, fashion is now the trend, right? It's about copying amplifiers, copying tones. And that's something the Kemper has been doing for quite a while. It's funny that the Kemper came out with this technology, and until then, no one was doing it, right? It looks like that. I even joke saying that it looks like that it was kind of the secret behind the construction of Iron Man's reactor. Only he knew how to do that until some crazy person did it too and gave him a hard time. But today we have Tonex, and I also have a partnership with IK Multimedia along with the software, right? The plugins. I also have a pedal.
Tonex too.
Tonex, exactly. And Tonex, it captures, as far as we know, the most perfect capture. It's the most accurate capture. I even made a video comparing the original with the one copied from Tonex, done in high definition mode, in advanced mode. Mateus, in your ear, you can't notice anything anymore. With the Kemper, you can't notice anything anymore. Of those, I saw a video of a guy where he was doing a test of negativity, right? Of a null test. In other words, it records the same, flips the phase, and plays it back. You know that when you flip the phase and play two identical audio tracks, it cancels out the sound, right? The only thing that remains is the difference. So the only difference you'll hear is the difference from the copy. So with the Kemper, that's where you hear more of that leftover noise. With Tonex, it's already very quiet. Very quiet. There was still, of course, it's not exactly perfect, but the margin of error is already smaller. There's a video on the internet of this test of nullity, right? And I did it, but actually using a frequency analyzer from Waves, the Paz analyzer. Dude, the difference you'll see is just a tiny little line, that you see on the graph after you zoom in. Because in the long view, when you look at the graph, you don't see anything. You see a little something in the bass here, which is a sub-bass region that's below 30 hertz. You won't hear that. And another one is already very high when you zoom in. So really, the copy is very perfect. So the question is, when it's literally playing, that's where it is. It's funny because when we're playing, we can still feel it, the dynamics of the amplifier. There's still that, how do I like to say, like Cara Santos says, there's still that little fat, right?
Where's the Catapiri? There's a cut of it there.
The Catopiri is missing.
Yeah, there's a bit of fat missing, right?
Yeah, so when you're playing with the AMP, it really has that little fat, right? There's that sound, right? Now, the audience, for those who are watching there, doesn't matter. A lot of times I won't even notice if you're playing with the amp or with nothing. But the equipment has changed a lot, man. It has changed a lot, and for the better. So playing with the amplifier on stage is cool. It's cool. But the sound result is definitely up front. You there with a good pedal board, with a nice programmed amp looking good. It will sound just as good.
So let's go on the tour. What are you going to play with today? Are you using the amplifier on stage?
No, I use the amplifier on stage, but just for monitoring. The sound outputs from an amp sim.
Okay, so the pedal board is in line. So you use your pedal board in the send return there. Is that it?
No, go straight to the input.
Pay attention to the input.
The pedal board has a non-simulated output that goes into the input of the amp. Okay, the amp there is just a reference for me. A lot of times, if the amp is still bad, I still turn it off and just rely on the stage monitor. Okay, in the stage monitor I hear, no.
Out headphones.
In the stage monitor, I can already hear it. The return of what's coming from the front, okay? So I hear it already processed from the amp sim. You got it. I have an idea from there. So if the monitor or the little amp here, because sometimes, depending on the city you're playing in, sometimes there's not. There's no good amplifier to plug into. So they put anyone up there, and if anyone sounds bad, I just keep it low and monitor myself from there. It's right there close by, and it's all good, but it's a line connection, not a mic on the side like everyone used to have to do back in the day. Otherwise, the sound was terrible.
But you don't turn off the preamp on the amplifier, so it doesn't perhaps mix with the preamp.
No, because for me, it's just a reference.
I lower the accumulation a bit, and it's going out directly because you have a direct output from the pedal board there, right? Exactly.
The pedal board is outputting live on this last tour of the guy now on the Extremo tour. There are a lot of songs there with many specific effects. I had to use another pedal board, right? So I'm not going to mention it either because I don't have a partnership with that pedal board. But the folks from Zona Galera at Royal have no restrictions regarding that. It doesn't depend on my needs. I can use something else, but I also don't go around mentioning names. So this pedal board already has 2 balanced outputs that go straight to the stereo PA. If I put a pong pong delay, it will be in the front. Got it. Then, and that same output also goes to my little stage monitor. This amp back here, if it's not even there, it won't make a difference. Because it's a separate output. Got it. It's a separate output, doesn't affect anything. No microphone.
But what were you exactly and specifically needing from this pedal board that you didn't have any features for?
It's because there are a lot of effects. For example, there are songs there that will have those U2-like delays. Those dotted shell delays. There's that over there. In fact, there was even a song there. It was a medley that made a reference to the U2 song, that one. What's the name of it? Oh, If I Without You. Yes, it was from that song. Then there's that little delay. So I had to do that. If I were to play with the zoom, I would have an extra tap on the pedal board. I could do everything, but with this one, I do it more organized. On the pedal board, I can even put together the set list of the band, and I'm just moving on to the next one. I can even see on the screen what the name of the next song is. So I don't even need the paper there with the names of the songs. I have the paper just in case, right? If there's any problem with the pedal board, I can see it there. But the pedal board already gives me that comfort. Did you get it? Now, for example, this tour is going to end soon. The songs, now for next year when we play, it's going to be with the more streamlined effects. I'm going to use my zoom because I find it much more practical, much lighter, smaller.
Are you using it?
Zoom GC. Okay. I'm using the Zoom GC, and it already has 4 foot switches there, which is exactly what I need. 1 clean, 1 crunch, 1 drive for the rhythm, and 1 for the solo. It's over.
Clean, crunch, drive, 4. That's it.
I use the volume as a boost. Actually, I make the presets already with 1, the volume pedal, taking off about 20% of the volume. So I set the sound with the expression pedal already down, meaning the volume is low. Because when I'm going to do the solo, my boost is the expression pedal. Then I bring it back to the normal volume. Got it.
And you're not going to use choruses, flanges, none of that?
It's already on my preset clean. It's just the time. The effects there in the cathedral are pretty simple.
So the clean will always be the same clean?
It will always be the same clean. With a little bit of chorus, with a little bit of chorus, no. I put a lot of chorus because I like it. I like it. And also at that time, the songs were also recorded. It also had that very pronounced chorus. So I already leave it there. There's no variation. In the clean, no. And the distortion, always, during the solo with that delay. The delay. I control the time in tap tempo. Everything is already fine. I already set it to the quarter note. If I want a dotted eighth, I just step on the tempo. I very quickly step on it to carefully simulate a dotted eighth. Since it's tap tempo, the timing is never going to be exact. It's just to sync a little closer to the drummer's groove.
So it's always you?
Right now, you're not using anything.
Besides the pedal board, I don't have any external pedals?
No. Wow. No, because I also use the pedal board itself. I understand when I need wow and when I'm using it. The pedal board, if there is any music that I'm going to use, I will put it in a separate bank, which will have a copy of that same bank, but the solo preset will have a different sound. When that's over, I go back to it. Bank's done. I just tap dance a little bit there and it's all set. But man, with the Zoom pedal board, everything becomes really practical. Man, these songs that already have this amount of effects, more controlled, are really practical, light to carry. There's nothing worse than being on the road. Carrying weight, yeah, man, everything is more practical. It's really chill. If it was smaller and I could fit it in the guitar bag, even better.
I just told you, today I came from Sao Paulo with the guitar on my back. And no, my plane must have had about 15, 20 musicians. It's impressive how many musicians there were, right? I even saw everyone there. Man, Starling, Cash. We take photos anyway, but everyone just had a case, brother. No one had more than one case. No one checked in anything. It's just that everyone had their instruments, bass, guitar, and only with a little pedal board, exactly because the road in Brazil is tough, man. It's tough. I have a video from a few days ago. Some people here in Brazil, even so, he's filming the guy. I don't know which company it was. He grabbed the case. The guy works for companies that play. I don't know if he doesn't want to. I saw him grab it and throw that thing here.
Yeah, it hit the spot. In the corner of my face.
I think these guys get a kick out of grabbing the case and throwing it, right?
And throwing it over there. I don't like checking in instruments. I don't like checking in because there are those cases, right? It has happened that I checked in my stuff and I was looking out the window. Once I managed to see the moment my guitar went by, but the guy placed it just right. Thank God I've never had that happen to me. Right now I'm using a bag from Says. It's really sturdy just for you to check it in.
Ah, it's not a soft bag.
It's a bag, but a sturdy bag for traveling. You can carry it on your back or you can check it in. These trips I'm taking, I'm checking in my stuff. That's why mine is all dirty. Yeah, that's why we're rethinking that color over at C's, because the white one won't work too well since it gets dirty a lot, right? So, yesterday when we were at 6D, Patrick's is just like mine, but his is still all white. So I asked, Patrick, have you ever checked in your stuff on trips? Dude, I checked it in and it got dirty, but I cleaned it. He said, oh man, I didn't clean mine. It's becoming a relic. Good.